don't have Amber today?
We should have Amber.
Oh.
I like it when Amber's here.
Happy birthday. Go to Corning Live. Yeah, we got really lucky with the weather. Than originally planned. So, yeah. Yes.
All around.
Where's Amber? Usually. You need to say this is fine.
Sorry.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. This one will be the second.
Oh, because we're not on the right, we're not on computer setting, we're on.
Oh, okay. I was completely back out of this. Okay, I didn't think it looked right. So what is it that we? Really? So what was I on?
Android.
Why would that even? Okay. Now I know.
You did the elevations on the bus.
Yeah, yes, everything's.
Do you want me to give control to them? If I get hard.
Yeah. Is this a student project?
Yeah.
Student project.
TV today? What's happening here?
It's a student project.
Student project.
Okay. I guess that's a little less scary.
All right.
Word versus 52, funny. Yes, where do you think that came from?
I thought there might be on the drive, can I scan it and try to text it?
It's funny, like, when they shut down the application without anyone like reaching out, and I was like, oh my goodness, it's sad, but then I go and feel like they're just all, you know, they're all nervous to do the right, do the wrong thing, you know?
Yeah, no. Individually.
They didn't seem upset about it, which is what I thought was happening.
They're not nervous, they have to shut down applications all the time, so.
Do they ever reach out, or do they just shut them down?
People that try to handle.
Kate, is Howard coming?
No Howard, no Bob.
So we discussed
But I do
it,
have,
and
4.
yeah, oh, yeah, there's no other way forward.
Correct.
It was either shut down it completely, or private club, or private club, right? So that,
I think it's your favorite move.
Yeah, of course it is.
yes,
Well,
Really hard.
and so we see.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Like,
Carol hasn't been around yet.
Oh, yes, yeah.
they don't ask questions.
And still this from one of the counselors. Yeah, only about their personal.
oh, it's not.
Why is this one? Okay, I'm relying too much on that.
Well, no, that's really right? And in some ways, it's more expensive to build an ADU because
There it is. Okay.
you don't get, you don't buy as much stuff for a whole house. You can get, that's not because of the regulation.
I've got one guy that might come through with one, but we'll see.
Well, that would be good. I mean, it can't be bigger than a
Oh, it's gonna be tiny. There's lots tiny.
Yeah, I mean, people could also do, you know, pop-ups on the garage. No one's even asking for that. And that, again, that's less expensive, but.
Oh, you will share it.
I can share with Hillary here.
That's fine. It's 8:30.
It's 8:30.
Shall we, Kate, you ready?
Start the show.
Because it's 8:30.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Good morning. This is the Syracuse Landmark Preservation Board meeting of October 9th, 2025. Present at the meeting are
Nicole Fragnito.
Kyle Gregory.
Julia Marshall,
Jeff Romano.
Hillary Donahue.
Martha Hertzberg, Corporation Counsel's Office.
Amber Dillon.
and Kate Aueter. May I have a motion to accept the minutes of September 18th, 2025?
I move to accept the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any modifications to the minutes? All in favor of the minutes as submitted?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? The minutes are adopted. Thank you. The board will now conduct the public hearing on today's agenda. First, the applicant or the applicant's representative will be invited to describe the proposed scope of work and to present any material or documentation regarding the proposal to the board. Next, persons wishing to speak in favor of the proposal will be given the opportunity to address the board. Then persons who wish to speak in opposition will be allowed to address the board. Finally, the applicant or representative will be given the opportunity to make closing comments to the board. Following public comment, the board may vote to approve with conditions, or deny the application just heard. The board may also decide to hold its decision until the next public hearing. If the hearing is closed, no additional information will be allowed into the record except for information that the board may request. That information will be available for public review with board staff. Kate, would you like to introduce the first application?
The first application is Certificate of Appropriateness 2531. It's for 215 Green Street. which is an individual protected site in the Holly Green neighborhood. It's also in the Holly Green Historic District, which is listed on the National Register. This is a project for window replacement, and the applicant is here. Sir, Jim, if you come up to the mic.
Please state your name and address, please.
My name is Jim Keller. I represent JK General Contracting, who's the contractor for 215 Green Street. Do you need any more of that information? Or? Okay.
That's sufficient, thank you.
So it's kind of a drawn-out story. I'll try to keep it very brief, but the property had a fire back in August of 2023. The homeowner had searched for a contractor for over a year until he found my company, which was in August of 2024. Or am I doing 24, 25? We're in 20, yeah, no.
We're 25. We're in 25 now. So the
25, I'm sorry,
fire was
24 to 25.
Okay.
It's been a year.
The fire happened in 24.
24, yes.
Right. Okay.
So I don't know if you're familiar with insurance claims with fire, but you have 2 years to recoup what they call depreciation and holdback from the fire. So they pay him a certain amount, and then to get the rest, he has to complete all of the renovations within 2 years. So when we received it, I couldn't even access the property. The property was full of mold from top to bottom because it had sat for a full year, including most windows, doors, flooring, you name it. It was all encased in mold. So we hired a mold remediation company. I actually took this job on the blind. They were going to actually turn it over to the city, and the bank was going to keep some of the funds that they received, and I convinced them otherwise, that it was a liability for them, a liability for the city, and got them to actually do the mold remediation. Once we did the mold remediation, I got to access the property, which was in September, early September, and had to find a way to get a roof on it and get the building closed up before winter came. If it didn't, then the mold, I mean, the roof had a tarp on it. We couldn't even do the roof because of the mold. So we had to do something to help preserve and protect the property. I got permission to put the roof on it and then close it up. Our permits are still in the pending status. And I had to entertain windows. I did look at windows. I actually looked at brown windows to put in there just because it would match better. But they were 8 to 10 weeks out, which would have put us into August or December, probably before we would receive them and be able to put them in. So what we decided, and that, I didn't get in there till mid to end of September after all the remediation was done. So what we decided to do is I looked around the neighborhood, and the house on the left of there, which isn't in the picture, has white vinyl windows. The house across the street has white vinyl windows. So I had to act on the time of the essence type of thing and had to get something in there. I could get windows within 2 weeks, so that's how we made the decision, and we put windows in it. Once my application kind of went through and started getting questioned, preservation came into it, and so that's why I'm here today. So what we did is we did it to preserve the property. Windows were extensive amount of time, considerably more in expense too, but that wasn't, the deciding factor. The deciding factor was the time to preserve the property. We did also work hard at keeping the facade. We ordered the windows the exact same size as the windows that were there. It did have, by the way, about close to 50% of the windows were vinyl windows already in there. The fire department did their job and destroyed some more of them for us. And then most of them were already fairly rotted and in a state of ill repair. But we did keep the front facade, as you can see there. It was very hard to do that, but we did keep that because I know it's important in the communities to try to keep the same look to the house. So we kept that, had to reframe it in place and work very hard at a lot of additional expense to keep that in place like it was. So we have considered, some of the factors of keeping the property is looking as good as we could, as it was prior to us being in there. I don't know if you have questions. I mean, I'm trying to keep it brief. There's,
No, thank you. Any clarifications before I ask if anyone is here to speak in favor of the project?
I'm sorry, I wasn't clear. You had reframed the facade. The facade was damaged? What
The
did you
whole,
do?
well, the fire was from the front almost to the back. So the very front of it, all of behind it is burnt. So we did framing, and then we had to seal it, and there was a whole process that we had to do to keep that in place so that we didn't lose it. Kept the roof line the exact same height, kept everything as much the same as possible, so that there would be no changes to it.
But the fire, if I understood from the materials we received, the fire was contained or was only in the attic, correct?
Well, this is the third fire that's been in this house, it looks like, from what we can tell. And the fire was contained to the attic, but unfortunately, when they dumped 2 million gallons of water in there, it destroyed the rest of the house and created a very serious mold condition. They spent about $70,000 remediating the mold that was in there.
Understood, but I'm just trying to understand the question regarding clarification for restructuring. The restructuring happened in the attic.
The reframing,
We
Yes.
put a whole new roof on it, yes. We put a whole new roof.
I think the reframing question that I asked you about, the
Okay.
extent of that, was that isolated just up at the attic level, or was that the whole front facade of the building? Because the materials we
It's
got said
mostly,
that the fire
it's
was
mostly
just
in the attic level. There are
Okay.
a couple of walls on the second floor that were affected, but nothing significant
Okay.
structurally. It's more of what held the walls up between the rooms.
I just had a clarification. You mentioned brown windows when you were looking at windows.
We put white vinyl in because brown were 8 to 10 weeks. We wouldn't see them,
What's a brown window?
just the
Brown
color.
color he means.
The color brown.
Brown color.
So we consider that because it would be, it would match a little bit better. But I did see, that many, many houses in the area have the white vinyl windows. So I had to make a decision to protect the property, and that's how we move forward.
Understood. Thank you.
Is anyone here to speak in favor? Anyone here wishing to speak in opposition can come forward. If not, I will close the public comment for the board to discuss. Comments from the board?
Did you look into wood replacement windows? I understand you've kind of gone through your timeline, but maybe I misheard that part, but did you investigate how long it would take to get wood windows?
To get wood windows? Oh, 12 weeks plus always.
Okay.
Always. And Hillary, I know Hillary that she probably could vouch for me on that, I would say. Typically.
Well, I guess I have a question. Did you consider boarding up the openings?
They were leaking. I mean, it's impossible to get it completely weather tight and prevent mold from growing again. I
They
mean,
were all boarded up.
so, a lot of them were boarded. Many of them had boards over one part of the window. Some didn't have boards when I got it. I mean, it was a mess. We boarded up and tried to make it as weather tight as we could, but we were consistently getting water. I mean, it's almost impossible to make it completely weather tight. So we were getting water down the front facade, or where the windows come in. They were coming around the backside of the window boardings and that. So there was no way to prevent that.
There are options to secure the building to make it weather tight. I would disagree with you.
Okay.
In terms of the openings to prevent damage during construction. It's done many times. Comments?
We have 30 total windows being replaced. Does that include all the attic as well?
That includes the entire property, yes.
Basement windows?
Basement windows, we're not touching.
You're not touching?
They're intact, yeah.
Okay.
Did the owner ever discuss with you that this is like an individually listed historic property, or?
No. He didn't say that. He owns a property directly across the street as well.
Do you know how long he's owned it, or this property?
I think a year, not very long. A very short period of time.
It's not too long.
It was very hard for me to put this project together, even with the bank. It was a very difficult project to put together. We're looking at strict timelines with getting all of the money. Otherwise, if I don't complete this by June to get everything inspected and closed by July, then he gets none of the $250,000, $300,000 he still is coming, which would fall back on me because I don't get paid. So.
Question I have is in terms of, it's stated here that half the window, half are vinyl replacements already there. But if I look at the chart that was provided with our packet, There are 8 missing, 10 are vinyl, and 12 are wood.
I think 12 are vinyl, I think. 10 were wood, and the other 8 were just missing, but I could be speaking wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was 12 vinyl, 10 wood, and 8 completely missing.
Oh,
12 vinyl. Well, but that's not
Nothing in the opening. I can't imagine
Right.
how there was nothing in the
It's
opening,
10
but there
wood,
was
I think.
nothing.
It's 10 wood, okay. So we've got 10 wood windows, we've got 8 that are missing, and 12 that are vinyl.
Correct. But the other ones that were wood that were there were not savable. I mean, they were rotten and broken. I mean, when they get smashed out, nobody takes the time to just break the glass.
My trouble here is I understand the timeline and the restrictions and the insurance. Generally, that's out of our purview as we look at historic resources within the city of Syracuse. So my trouble here as I'm looking at this is it's an individually listed structure. So that, to me, it gives it more prominence. And so the standards should be followed more strictly. And vinyl windows, to me, is not an option for this structure, irregardless of the time frame that's being imposed. And I'm just letting you know where my thought is. Did you look at fiberglass windows? We do look at fiberglass windows as an option within historic districts.
We just looked at what we could get in there to protect it. So and I did look at the brown color. So that could have been an option. The other problem with this is, and it's going to become, if you get into something like a wood window that's $1,000 a piece, this the project will probably stop because he'll overfund it, and then the property will remain as it is and not get repaired. So he has a very limited funds to do a.
Is this eligible for tax credit project?
Pardon?
There are federal tax,
State and federal.
state and federal tax dollars that are available to
But we're dealing with
offset the cost.
But we're dealing with a time restraint. So if I wait until all of that is approved to put those windows in, then we would have run into problems. I mean, he did ask me about, I mean, I do work for the county and do windows all of the time, and I know that there's different resources, but those typically take a long time.
The buyer bought a property that's individually listed, and if he couldn't tell, looking at it, that somebody put a lot of care and attention into keeping it in this condition, he must have had some inkling that this was a significant property when he purchased it. And part of the commitment is maintaining it. So I understand emergency conditions, but it.
Listen, I'm just the contractor in the end.
Yeah, I know.
If this becomes over budgeted, we just shut it down, we give it back to the city, they'll get it however it is, and it'll sit for 2 or 3 years the way it is until they get, I mean,
Or maybe the right person comes along and wants to invest
yes,
correct
yeah,
resources.
absolutely. I'm just saying, I'm doing the best I could with what I had.
We understand your position.
Yep.
Absolutely. We have to follow the Interior Secretary's standards.
Sure.
And we can't look at it from the time frame or from a money frame. We're looking at it in terms of preservation of buildings within the city of Syracuse. And I'll leave it at that. Any other comments, questions?
So the roof is secured, the roof is replaced, and now you're just,
It is all dry now, the property is dry, so we're waiting for our permits to be finalized so that we can continue. And we have temporary electric there now.
so it is moving forward. So here today, what we're looking at is only window replacement.
Correct. The roof is complete.
Yeah, we're not doing anything else outside.
You're all dried in,
Yes.
and you've got services. So
So at this point, it is contained in terms of weather tightness?
Yes.
Could I ask for,
Yes, sure.
are all the windows actually replaced at this point?
There's attic windows that still have not been replaced.
So that's what we're looking at
we
right
couldn't,
there.
We couldn't get to the attic until recently. You'd have to be there to see it, to see why we couldn't get up there, but we're working on doing that now.
Quagmire, I have major reservations of approving vinyl in an individually designated structure. That's my greatest hesitancy. Seeing that half of them are already in,
They're all in,
the
except
first and
for
second
the
floor,
annex.
everything's all in. So you're coming to us afterwards. Again, that's another kind of a hiccup in the timeline here. But from my perspective, I would not permit vinyl windows in this structure in this district. And I'm speaking for myself, the rest of the board
Agreed.
can speak to that. But I have major reservations on this. I understand the timeline, but again, we're looking at historic structure and we're looking at historic
Sure.
materials, irregardless of the time.
Part
So-
of my decision was made based on other houses in the neighborhood, though, so that's part of my decision. Now that it's right, two rights don't make a wrong, I'm not saying that, but that was part of my decision that I said, we're going to move forward just to protect the property, and that's the decision we made, so.
Understood. And again, from our perspective, we're looking at preservation of historic materials.
May I remind the board to look at the Secretary of Interior standards and state that as part of the comment? Just so that it goes into record in terms of what you're applying to it. And that's all in the packet.
Refresh which one it is. Sorry.
I think one, it would be standard number 2, the historic character of the property will be retained and preserved. The removal of distinctive materials or alteration of features, spaces, and spatial relationships that characterize property will be avoided. And then I also believe that standard number 6 would apply. Deteriorated historic features will be repaired rather than replaced. Where the severity of the deterioration requires replacement of a distinctive feature, the new feature will match the old in design, color, texture, and where possible, materials. Replacement of missing features will be substantiated by documentary and physical evidence. Are there any other standards that would apply?
Those two speak best to this project at hand.
If not, may I have a motion on this application?
May I ask a question? Is there a note in there for emergency or,
Pardon?
is there a note in the standards for emergency type of things or anything like that? There's no notes for that in the standards book?
There's nothing in terms of timing or sort of emergency situations. Having said that, I think, it's clear that my understanding is that the roof reconstruction was, you were permitted to go forward with the roof reconstruction without having gone through all the
Correct.
because of an emergency situation in terms of the property. So, but within the preservation ordinance, there's no language in terms of
Okay.
that.
And at
Yeah.
this point, you've stated that the building is secure.
Yeah,
Well, it's secure. Right.
but we did put the exact same size and all of that, so we didn't want to change the outside facade at all.
So, yeah, I'll make a motion to deny the application for the installation of vinyl replacement windows based on Secretary Standards number 2 and number 6.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussions or modifications to motion?
I'd just like to encourage you and the client to look into the historic tax credits. I think that is an option that will help make this feasible financially, especially if you do revisit either wood or fiberglass or another alternative accepted material for the windows.
So you will accept fiberglass? Is that?
Yes.
We have in the past on other individually registered structures.
Do I have to ask permission for the color? I mean, we're going to go brown if we do, if that's what's being imposed, if we can make it happen.
Sorry, go ahead.
That would just be submitted in your
Right.
application.
You
Okay.
can submit it with your application.
If brown is matching your color scheme and it supports the historic integrity of the structure, then should be fine from my point of view.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? Motion passes.
So I will send you the resolution. The owner does have the option to appeal the decision to the Planning Commission. But we can discuss what that looks like, as well as if you want to submit a revised or a new, rather it be a new application with a different window type. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
My old boss used to have a poster that said
Amber, do you want to? Okay. And Kate, once they're ready, do you want to introduce the? Yes. And this is site plan review.
this is site plan review, yes. Yep.
Oh, sure.
If you want to be in control.
Actually, you could just click through. And if I have to, I'll get up and start touching the screen or
You want me
something.
to?
No, I'll,
You'll do that, Vern? Okay. Well, while you're doing that, I will introduce the next application. It is a major site plan review, 2524. This is for 325-45 South Warren Street, which is the Onondaga Hotel project. The building is in the South Salina Street Downtown Historic District, the expansion area, so listed on the National Register. And this is the final draft. I believe you have seen at least a couple different iterations of this proposal. And last spring, approved the demolition of the garage that's next door. And with that,
And our
Right.
role is to review and comment.
is to comment. That's right.
review and comment. So, thank you. Brian Bouchard with CHA Consulting. We're the project engineer working on behalf of the owner, developer, and applicant Dave Newman, who's also here with us today. So by way of introduction, I probably don't need to spend too much time talking about the buzz and interest in this project, as we've discussed it with Eric in the mayor's office to bring a new hotel and convention center space directly into downtown Syracuse. And myself, having been a part of a lot of the renovations of some of the aging hotels in the area that's been converted to multifamily, this is a very refreshing project to work on to provide that convention center space in downtown in support of things like, NCAA and March Madness and the ability to bring large conventions into the city here. So just the first page described to you the site, which you're all familiar with. It's 4 existing parcels that are highlighted here in red at the corner. It's basically the southeast corner of East Fayette and South Warren Street. So north is to the plan left here. South Warren Street's to the bottom of the page. There's 3 vacant parcels plus the existing parking garage, so it totals about 1.15 acres, and all the parcels are in the MX5 zoning district. As Kate mentioned, this includes demolition of the existing parking garage, which is currently condemned and quite structurally unsound by way of some of the structural reports that you have seen. In working with the applicant last March to review and approve that resolution to demolish the existing structure within the historic downtown district. That did include some extensive research and historic documentation that was provided to this board, and since then we've also provided that to SHPO for their approval to remove that structure as well. And by way of letter of resolution, I've worked with them to make some changes to the facade that they've requested that I'll show you. But they were very minor comments. Essentially, some of the initial sketches showed a water tower element at the top that they felt was sort of out of context. So that has disappeared. And then some minor touches to the first floor where they requested that we change to a more traditional storefront with recessed entries, display windows, transoms, and some very finer details. And then one change to some metal cladding that we had, and we replaced that in favor of some glass, fiberglass reinforced concrete materials with a masonry-like appearance to provide that contextual commercial facade. The other things in the letter of resolution include what is very typical, right? So recording all of that historic documentation with SHPO and the National Archives and also the Onondaga Historical Society, and then the applicant's willingness to provide a historic plaque either on the front facade of the building or in the entry vestibule to, essentially commemorate the existing structures that were removed, and then continued consultation with the design process if there are any changes that come forward. So this will include a companion piece with the Planning Commission in terms of combining these projects into one contiguous parcel to support the singular new building, which is construction of a 10-story building that I mentioned is much needed in terms of the city's request for some hotel rooms and convention center space, along with actually some commercial space that I'll show you if you do want to go to that first floor plan and quickly walk you up the building as we get to the renderings and elevations in the back. So on the hard corner of Fayette and Warren is a 2-story restaurant space. So you walk in and it's got an open ceiling with some seating space on the second floor that would look down at the bar area. The remainder of the first floor does have our access to the parking garage, which is a multi-level parking garage. So we have the parking entry. There is some parking on the first floor, and then you'll start to snake up to the parking garages. The other space that you see on the first floor here is the hotel entry and valet and security right off of South Warren, right in the center of the building, and then some supportive space for our mechanicals and fire command center, sprinkler systems, and back of house space for the hotel support, essentially like laundry, staff offices, and housekeeping. The second through fourth floors are very much stacked. You can see the restaurant space continuing up to the second floor that would overlook the entry to that restaurant on the corner. And then essentially the rest is just the elevator core and parking garage that stacks up through the fourth floor. If you can get through those next couple of pages, it's purely parking. And then when we get to the fifth floor, this is where we start the double-loaded corridor for the hotel rooms. So these are very much typical floor plans that are stacked for hotel rooms for floors 5 through 9. So we can skip through those too. And then we'll stop at the 10th floor here, which is kind of the centerpiece in terms of the convention center space. The 10th floor, if you scroll down just a little bit, is showing about 4,000 square feet. 4,000 square feet of banquet. Yeah, right on the 10th floor. There we go. So all the way over on the left on the corner is 4,000 square feet of banquet room space. And then in the center, as you would expect of a convention center, is really flexible convention space with breakout rooms, the restrooms, and some convening space out in front there. Off to the right-hand side of the page is going to be our 10th floor restaurant, hotel lobby lounge, lobby bar, a small exterior patio, and then obviously all the kitchen and prep space that would serve both that restaurant and the convention center space. We have 321 parking spaces, 248 rooms, and a total of 26,500 square feet of that convention center, banquet, and restaurant space. And what we've included that probably wasn't in the original materials, we worked last week to get Kate some colored elevations and a perspective rendering that's the most up-to-date version. So we can go to those. And hopefully you've had a chance to look at them. There's a couple of things I'll point out here in terms of the material palettes that you'll see memorialized on the right-hand side of the page. The majority of the building is thin brick, in a variety of different courses. So we have running bonds, soldier courses, and stack bonds. Then there's also the fiber reinforced concrete that I mentioned earlier with some accents of tile and ephes and perforated metal screens to kind of screen that parking garage structure, completing the building with the bases in a granite base and concrete base. One thing that I believe you discussed with the applicant prior to my involvement was saving the PARK sign, the park sign. So you'll see that right in the center of the building, just over our new parking garage entrance. So that sign will be removed prior to demolition. It'll be refurbished and reinstalled on the building to keep that piece. And then there's some other signage that we haven't talked about with the Planning Commission yet that would be on the corner of Fayette and Warren that would kind of designate this as the Onondaga Hotel. Some of the other things that you see here in the elevator core, the architects created this multicolored vertical element. That's really a large format tile that they've chose to express that elevator core as a vertical element. And really the purpose of that was drawing on some of the historic motifs and Art Deco influences from the surrounding area. One thing that I did want to clarify, you know, the little yellow piece that you see in the bottom in our hotel entrance is looking very yellow, but that is basically an opaque piece of glass that will be backlit. So it's just lighting, and it was hard to render that lighting. I do have an example.
Looks better in the print.
Yeah. I have an example of what they provided to me as an inspirational image. So basically over the hotel, you know, it has kind of that cross-hatch metal pattern with an opaque glass. So it's not a yellow panel, it's just a backlit that's represented in the rendering there.
Like an onyx type of.
And then, you know, I mean, you're probably all architects, but you can see like the green and blue blotches that are in the bottom are just left over from the Revit model that weren't scrubbed in time for the printing. So those won't be like green and brown panels, but.
Don't give away all your secrets.
Yeah, so those are the colored elevations. We gave you all 4 sides. This is the prominent one facing South Warren. And then I think if you scroll down, you can kind of see, actually right at the top in the south elevation, you'll see that PARK, the park sign that projects off into the South Warren Street elevation there. And then if you scroll down, you're still available here to Vanna White me. Again, this is from the Fayette side, so you still see those storefronts in the second floor of that restaurant projecting onto the Fayette side with that PARK sign that's in the middle of the building on Warren Street. And then the photorealistic rendering is sort of the last page that we can stop on to give you a sense of what the building looks like contextually within the surrounding streetscape here. Oh, you might have to zoom out just a little bit, yeah. There we go.
Can I just ask you quickly about the sign? Is that the current location of the sign, or is it moved in terms of?
It's really close to the current location. That is directly above our parking garage entrance, which seems as though it's the most appropriate place to put it. The existing location may be not too far down the building to the right, closer to Pavone's.
I think the signage is closer
To
To Pavone's side, yeah.
And,
Further south.
and is it projecting out any further than it is currently?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
No, I think obviously we'll have to reconstruct the cribbing and structural supports for it, which is what's kind of represented here. Obviously, the signage approval in terms of its size and everything else will be separate. So if there is, and this is obviously an encroachment too, so there's some things that we'll have to do with the city, and there will be certainly opportunity to state what that projection is and maybe get a little bit more detail on you know, how it's fastened to the building and what that structure looks like to capture that.
Currently, it's encroaching on property line.
Yeah, I think all of it is, right? There's that huge overhang.
Well, I was going to ask you, what happens to that overhang? Because that's fairly distinctive.
Right.
Almost looks like plane wing.
Yeah.
know-
Well, it's going to get demolished with this structure.
It's going to build to the structure, I
Yeah.
think.
Just because it's encroaching now doesn't mean a new sign can encroach because
Right.
it's
Correct, it's a
complete
whole new
construction, yeah.
project, right, but I'm just curious what's going to happen with that canopy. Because it's part of the garage,
Right.
and it's a significant element of its history.
I think part of the documentation, presumably the photographic documentation of the building, put the canopy
Yeah.
somewhere.
Give us your address, we'll drop it off.
Do
I
you
think,
have room at your house? No, thanks.
I think Dave had worked closely, obviously, with the Historical Society, and there is a lot of really cool, like, old pictures of it, and some of that will be commemorated on the plaque, I'm sure, too, so.
I also think what Julia's commenting towards was initially, the initial conversations was, can we try to keep an element like that along the streetscape? Since that was such a heavy distinctive feature from the existing building in an historic district,
Yeah.
and carrying that through somehow, and that's more, I think, of.
I would say the struggle there is
colleagues'
that
comment is.
it does project so far out that its purpose was almost to maybe, you know, provide some rain relief or something. It projects so far out, though. If you were to do anything like that with this building, you'd lose the the view of the building and everything else. It would become the only feature of the building at that point, so understood
Just
the
a
comment,
comment,
though,
right.
yeah.
So the datum line that's shown here for the parking, that's a 4-story datum line, correct?
Correct. Where you see the initial ground floor that reaches up into those other 3 floors, those are the parking garage structures, and then that lighter brick color starts those 5 floors of the hotel units, yeah. Then obviously the conference center being on the upper floor is the other grade plane that we have there.
That seems quite traditional. Very nice. Would be
Thank you.
my comment.
Yeah.
I do have one comment in terms of the parking garage doors off to the right over there. There are service doors all the way to the right on the first.
Correct. The only entrance is the open garage entrance in the center. The other 2 doors are for National Grid's equipment, because obviously in downtown, we have to place that all in the building. So we do have a service dock that would be opened for trash pickup and/or supporting services for laundry and other things, and then the transformer, interior transformer vaults.
Maybe it's an element of the rendering, but that pops out at me as inconsistent with the rest of the elevation in terms of perhaps the color or the type of material that's used. If you could consider some other material or some other way of defining that. Obviously, you need it, I understand that, but as far as the elevation, it kind of.
You're talking about these?
Yes.
The 2 light doors.
Yes.
Essentially that they're lighter and kind of sticking out to you in terms of its
They're
color.
popping out as something important, but they're not, and you kind of want them to blend in that elevation.
I somewhat agree with you, so we'll make we can make that revision to tone it down.
Because it's a pedestrian way,
Yeah.
and whenever you're up against that kind of surface, it's not really pedestrian.
Well, and in fact, making it darker and blending it in, because traffic all comes from the south on South Warren Street. You know, if you see a parking garage door, maybe you'd be inclined to try and pull in there, even though it wouldn't open for you, so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's kind of, even though the park sign, and I appreciate that, you know, the preservation of the park sign, and it identifies where you should enter the parking garage. Someone who's not familiar might assume that's another entry.
An easy fix for us, yeah. I agree too.
And if I'm understanding, each datum line actually pulls back away from, you know, the building a little bit, so it gives it that hierarchy.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, with the cornicing that you're seeing, correct, yep.
Can you speak a little bit more to the GFRC, I think I'm reading, is what's on the sort of base course at the retail street level? Can you just, I can't tell, am I looking at something that's like a rendering repeat, or is it actually have some sort of texture that will be expressed?
I think that what you are seeing is like the repeat of the rendering, you know. It looks computer generated, obviously. It is textured, though.
It reads like a large,
The base?
the alligatoring at the base, yeah.
Okay, that's the rendering.
Yeah, that's why I just was trying to understand from the brick I get, the other materials I get, but I wasn't clear on sort of the scale and the massing and what that might actually be expressed as.
Yep, yeah, I think it is just,
So, just to repeat, what is the base course material?
Right, well, it says it's GFRC, if that's correct on the,
For the non-architects?
the base material is the GFRC, yes, the glass reinforced concrete paneling, yep. And there's the 2 colors of it,
Glass
yes.
reinforced
glass fiber
concrete.
reinforced concrete.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
so
you.
it's-
And the material above that?
That says it's a thin brick, I think, right?
Yeah, the thin brick, and
Well, I'm talking about the one that's green on the bottom.
Yeah.
It reads almost like a large format tile. That's the
Right.
Yeah.
GFRC, but I'm not quite clear exactly how that's expressed or
yeah, if you go back to maybe the
jointing or
two-dimensional
something.
colored elevation would be better to see what the cross hatching is to tell you which thin brick course there is there.
Yeah, there we go.
There it is, yeah.
Zoom in.
Yeah, so you could see that, you know, the granite base along the bottom that's filled in by that.
There's a granite base where?
Right on the bottom, right on the base, yep, the first 2
on
feet.
the-
Yep,
okay.
Base course there.
then it transitions as you go up.
Oh, I see.
Instead of the squares.
I got it.
Have the GFRC.
Mhm. Yeah, I think what the rendering is, as you had mentioned, was kind of more just the computer-generated pattern of it, versus what you're seeing here with the paneling and the actual score lines in it.
These will be large panels with
Mhm.
reveals.
Yep.
And it's green?
That's
Tone?
my next question.
No, it's not green. If you go over to the side there, it'll have the,
Well, right. What is actual? I mean, as we're surfing for this, I just had a couple of quick comments. As Julia mentioned, the scale is great. It follows historic construction. You know, we've got a base, we've got a shaft, we've got a capital that reads really clear and detailed. Appreciative of that. To me, it's got an urban feel for the streetscape, interactive, works well in this downtown core. I think Warren Street being a narrower corridor with a 10-story building, you really start to feel you're in the center of a really urban space.
almost like it was back in the day, right?
Well, I think from the historic photographs, there are like 5, 6-story buildings, I think. So, you know, on this side of the block at least. So I think that starts to recreate that scale and that sense and that space really well here with this structure. Comment, the packet that we have in front of us is slightly different, where your 4-story belt course is broken now with the elevator shaft.
Yes.
And the packet information that we have, it wasn't. I kind of feel it's stronger with it broken.
Continuing all the way down.
Again, but that, you know, that's just me reading that whole base, that whole podium that this building sits on. Thought that was a stronger element there. I understand the verticality and the tiles, I think is great, and the mixture of header and stretcher brick is very strong.
Okay.
This is the most current, yes.
Yeah, so in the packet, it shows the
Yeah, I know.
header
I see.
Onto the ground, right?
cut
down.
through. So I'm just,
I don't have an issue with that. Verticality of what it is.
no, I like the verticality element. I just thought it was stronger with the base going through that third and fourth story, if you want to call it that. But that's just my own comment. But it's a very strong element. I like the tile. I like the different textures of the brick, the stretchers, the headers. That play, I think, really starts to break up the facade and really starts to give it some detail and a level of interest that we don't typically see in a structure of this size.
Yeah, I think part of the reason for that is if you looked at the second floor plan, you're going to see that the garage has an elevator lobby between the 2 elevators. So that was a continuation of that yellow opaque backlit area for the positioning of the elevator lobby. Otherwise, if it continued all the way down, that portion of the elevator lobby might be a little dark, but.
But I'm saying this one that was submitted, I feel stronger than that one.
Understood, yeah.
But that's my own comment.
I'm not, yeah, it was early on.
I understand the idea of it, but it really didn't make sense.
And it wouldn't have been functional, obviously, too. You know, when you do look across, like Franklin Park and stuff, there's some that are existing. So I think when an architect looks at large at the city and tries to pull inspiration, that was maybe something that they started with that kind of quickly got taken off the
If you were in New York
top of the
City,
building.
you'd have more inspiration in
Yeah.
terms of a water tower, but not Syracuse.
Was your easement issue resolved?
Yes, yeah.
So-
Dave's been working with
okay.
the YMCA folks to resolve that rear egress, and there is still a path forward, both through construction and the demolition of the existing garage, and then obviously the pathway that we still have between us and Pavone's that's going to give us the respect that we need and windows that we need, and also allow for some egress through that side alley too, yeah.
Just remind me, the glazing is going to be clear or tinted? There is no mirrored.
No, there is no mirrored glazing. Obviously, the rendering kind of picks that up with what's behind it in the Google Earth image. So, I mean, you'll see it. It's not a, I don't believe it's a mirrored, it's not a mirrored glass. It's just,
Make sure, right.
yeah.
Because of the, well, the narrow street and.
And also because that was a miss with the the building across the street, that was a miss, that they went ahead and put in tinted glass that, or or mirrored or tinted glass that, that was, it becomes problematic for the pedestrian experience.
Correct, so any other comments?
Excuse me.
I guess if I quantify all the comments that are here, it appears that we're looking at this favorably. We appreciate the time taken to present all the materials. And as the process goes on, it'd be good to see the actual materials that you are suggesting and the colors.
Yeah. So what I will bring back in very short order, so our meeting with the Planning Commission is on October 20th, so essentially a week and 2 days away. That's a very important meeting for our financing schedule and closings that we have coming. So I did make some notes about kind of the green tints and clarifications and mirrored glass and stuff like that. I'll bring that back to the architect today, and we'll make sure that we get a rendering produced prior to the 20th. And if I have the ability to share that with Kate as far as a staff review, and she can get it to you guys for comment before that meeting, that would be helpful to us so that we can make sure that you guys are all satisfied before we get to that Planning Commission meeting in hopes of approval that night. So,
if I'm reading this correctly, Ratio is the architect of
Correct.
record?
Correct.
Design architect and the architect? of
Yes.
record. Okay.
Yep.
A quick, just clarification in terms of the signage, will that be coming back again in terms of sign permit, or is this?
Yes.
Yeah.
So our goal is to obviously get our Planning Commission approvals on the 20th. That will be representative of the intent of signage, but because there are encroachments out into the right-of-way and likely exceeding size perhaps, and maybe the projecting sign, which I think there's a little bit different rules under rezone Syracuse, we'll represent them, but it will not be part of the Planning Commission's approval. We will take the signage package back separately, and I would assume that by way of referral to you two, this would be the first stop that we can talk to you about those details as a sign waiver and encroachment get processed separately of the site plan review.
Okay, thank you.
List of zoning regulations here lists actually what the setbacks are currently and lot coverage and so forth.
Yeah, obviously, those are building setbacks, and you can see that the attempt here is to have a zero setback or a nominal setback. So anything that projects off of the building in terms of the canopy entries at the hotel or the signage will project into the right-of-way, and is a fairly intensive process to go through with both the Planning Commission and ultimately the Common Council to approve those as revocable permission. Obviously, in this case, it's not that big of a deal because it's overhead and wouldn't obstruct any utilities or anything, but that will be an opportunity to come back to you with the sign package as we get further along. But the right to build is what we're working on now, so.
Excellent project.
Thank you.
I appreciate your guys' comments, and I guess the referral goes back to the Planning Commission through you, right?
That's correct.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time, appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. Yeah, that was.
Really, really good. We've come a long way.
No, I agree. Like, there's all right. Shake it off. Are we ready to go for the next one, or? So our final piece on the agenda. See if everyone. So the final piece on the agenda is a discussion item. We have the folks from Nelson Associates back again today to talk about some work, the next piece of the ongoing work to restore and rehabilitate the Niagara Mohawk building. And I'll just
All right. Thank
hand
you.
it on over.
Thank you for hearing us again.
Yeah.
Welcome.
My name is Peter Nelson, and I'm with Nelson Associates Architectural Engineering. We've been commissioned by National Grid to design the SOC Building A facade restorations. And last time we came, we talked about the ornate spandrel panels that are in dire need from an emergency standpoint and a safety standpoint to be replaced, and we've spent a lot of time on that. Today, we want to talk about part of the restorations is the capstones, the ornate capstones around the building. And to talk about that today, Andy Morgan is our principal architect, and the design team, Justine Kamer and Jingjing Wu. And they've been working very hard, and because it's very complicated, it's very involved, and we're trying to maybe correct some of the wrongs of the past renovations in there. And we've spent a lot of time, we've been going to different colleges and universities to review capstones and how they're handling them. There's a lot of advancements that have been there to protect the brick below, to flash it properly, and we can talk about some of that. So I'm going to turn it over to Andy and Jingjing and to talk about our plan. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. It's good to see everyone again, especially on a happy note like this. So the first thing we'll do is, I guess there's some photographs we have of the exterior just to refresh everyone's memory on what's going on. And let's try the next one, Jingjing. Yep. So just for a point of reference, the capstones that we're discussing today are at the top of the parapet walls on the multi-level, areas on the exterior of the building. This all started years ago. I'm thinking just after the 2000, the capstones were clad in a copper cladding when the re-roofing was done. What we found is the capstones underneath that copper is starting to deteriorate because water infiltrated and spalled some of those. So we're concerned that when we're going to take the copper off, and when we find that, we may find that some or most of the capstones will be beyond repair. So we're planning on having new capstones made to match these. And I guess the next elevation, or next, there's some close-ups. And you'll notice on some of these, not all the capstones are simple rectilinear. Some are very intricate. Let's go to the next one. Yeah, you can see this, the detail on the top there, just above one of the stainless steel fins. Just to the left of it, there's a capstone. The idea on this, the owners asked us, because this was prompted by a re-roofing project that's needed, the capstones are going to be removed, and we're planning on putting new flashing on top of the parapet walls, because we feel that besides the infiltration of water on the copper that's cladding these, water came in behind and is going into the parapet walls and deteriorating that. So we want to avoid that. Also, we want to make it so that when we re-roof and future re-roofs, we have a way to bring up to the flashing on the sidewall, the inside of the parapet, and then replace from that point down and still keep the parapets intact, the stone capping. Let's see the next one. Yeah, you can see some of the deterioration and,
So was the parapet all masonry, and those are panels that were installed?
yes, unfortunately. This on the interior, so you're not seeing it. It's on the interior of the roof portion.
Top of the capstone is lead-coated copper
Yes,
with stainless steel flashing?
yes. We had nothing to do with that.
What's that?
We had nothing to do with that.
Well, I guess that's my question. Was that the renovation that was done or the restoration that was done?
Not that long ago, yes.
No, it was not that. If you actually go on Google or Street View, you can see back images far enough back when the flashing was not there. So it was early 2000s.
Klepperhan and Hyatt.
16, we think, 2016?
Long time ago.
Yeah. There-
Well, that's the thing. I don't know the timeline. I do know that many years ago, Klepperhan and Hyatt did it, but it wasn't the entire perimeter. There were certain capstones that were
Yeah, it was after that.
replaced. Okay.
Is
all
when it
right.
was clad. It was an idea somebody had that they thought,
It's not them, okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
So we're trying to get back to that point.
okay, all right. Good to know.
Yeah.
And what is the material actually off of the roof that comes up on the parapet? Down below?
Shiny.
The
Oh,
shiny
yeah,
stuff.
that's
What is that?
that's a roof flashing. That'll be different when they do the roofs. That was done on the last roofing project.
I'm not familiar with that kind of.
Yeah, it's a heavier flashing that has like a metal cladding on it.
Oh,
That's
okay.
all. And
Oh,
it's made it so that it's flexible. That's all.
right,
Yeah.
it's a membrane.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
For
Yeah,
vertical
it's a stainless
surfaces.
steel, probably with copper mesh
It may
inside
not be
it or
that
something.
expensive, but I think it's just there to keep the UV rays off it, and it has the coursing in it or bending in it so that it's flexible to around surfaces. And it's not that pretty in terms of detailing.
Right, well, it's more probably the workmanship I'm commenting.
Yeah, yeah.
Any day.
Hey, Jing Jing, let's see the next one. Yeah, this is a photograph of some of the different shaped capstones that we have. And what we did was we also have plans showing a representation of what the multi types of capstones we have and where they're located.
It also looks like the masonry was replaced.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So have you documented whether, because I'm also looking at some white effervescence on it, so is the brick damaged below this capstone as well?
Some of it is, and that has to be replaced. We do have brick that matches the existing that we found
Okay.
for that.
Sorry, everything that we're seeing there, I'm not seeing any stone. This is all the lead-coated copper that I'm seeing in this picture. It's like fully encapsulated.
Yeah. There's a few areas in the back that may have missed the newer additions and whatnot.
But the images we're seeing that this is.
Yep,
okay.
yep. The ones
I mean, from the
we're
ground
going
level,
to,
you can't
No,
tell the
that's why I'm
difference,
asking.
And I think that's probably why it was allowed, but obviously if it prevented water from leaking out.
yeah, and also, once that lead-coated copper, maybe through freeze-thaw cycles, opens up, it just lets everything in. Can we zoom in on that? Let's see, maybe there's a better. Yeah. Yeah, see it kind of is streaky too, if you notice, from the water running on it. Okay, maybe we'll go to the next, hopefully we'll get to the plans quickly. Yeah, this is a tie-in where there's panels, spandrel panels, that aren't the black ones we discussed in our last meeting, where these are cast stone and how the parapet.
So you're proposing to replicate
Absolutely.
all the, exactly.
Yep.
Wow, great endeavor.
Yeah, it's pretty brave.
What's that?
Pretty brave. It's a
Well, as long as we have the craftsmanship
Yep.
out there to do that.
Well, are we coming up to the drawings yet? That's good. Yeah, this will be interesting. So just to give the committee a sense of some of the few types of options or variations on the capstone. Jing, if you could zoom in on some of them, once everybody sees this level, this is just an example of some of the different capstones that are there.
Was it fun to get up on the roof and measure these things? Oh, yeah.
The original drawings
Okay.
Yeah.
They're thorough.
Without CAD.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
Were they on linen?
Probably the originals were in the 20s.
Well, you just had a picture that looked like.
We don't have the original. Oh, these ones? We don't have these.
It's large in size. Some of these are over 4 feet long.
So who is going to replicate it? You have a manufacturer?
Well, who were you looking at? For a price.
What's that?
For a price.
Of course. Well,
Yep. And this exterior parapet wall detail shows our design that, as Pete had mentioned, we worked with masonry contractors that have done this type of work throughout New York State. And in this particular one, the idea is once you have the roof parapet wall sealed, you would attach the parapet capstones with an eye and a pin into each one, and each one goes next to it. So it keeps it in place so it's not physically attached to the parapet, and it allows the capstones, if they get wet, to dry out and weep. And the idea,
comment on that detail?
yeah. Detail on the side?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just slide over, Jing. That mouse is a little tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have the idea is the point from the bottom of the capstone to the top of the parapet. That's open in terms of ventilation, and the joint between each capstone. Now, remember, if these are 4 feet long, we may end up having to make them in smaller pieces, but we'll still have the same identical look. When we do that, the eye hook you see has a pin that goes into the capstone, holds it down and keeps it from moving. And then the space between them, it gets caulked on the front and on the top, so the backside is open so that it can weep out and water can dissipate.
And you have vapor permeable membrane.
Yes. And as you notice, the owner asked us to have that offset counter flashing drip edge so that in the future, new roofs, we just go to that counter flashing and roof up to that point and keep everything else as is. And the beauty of this is if we have a capstone in the future that gets deteriorated or something happens to it, you can replace that without having to disassemble the entire roof.
And that counter flashing will be what? Stainless
Probably, something like that.
I'm also thinking in terms of what you see, and you're going to see that.
You shouldn't, that's on the, oh, you see that from the interior of the building looking out. This is on the, this is on the inside of all the parapets.
You're leaving on the front. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, the entire joint will be void except for a feet of sealant.
And that doesn't have to be, but we thought, we visited a few sites where the joints between the stones were, let's say, half inch or so. Well, when the sunlight's right, you can see right through that. So we thought to avoid that, if you caulk up and down the top, we still have the whole backside open.
The only thing I will say, I mean, you've got the vented, you have a vent, you have a weave.
Yep.
But maintenance always puts sealant where they.
And I don't disagree with you. However, the sealant in our minds is going to be more aesthetic than functional. So the joints could be open and be fine. We just want that, and for the visual effect of having a solid and not at some point see a joint there. We could just go up the straight, up the vertical and not on the horizontal, but we're still kind of thinking about that. But it wasn't intended to be.
Wheat vent product or something in there, just to dissuade them.
Well, there is a vent, but I.
No, you're saying that if they see an open joint on the.
An open joint, yeah, they
You
cover it.
you could put like a wheat vent product that would tell them, there's, I mean, I'm
Yep.
not trying to tell you how to, I'm just commenting on the
I
question.
just know that I've seen it.
Oh, the sealant fails. Yeah, they're.
No, that there's an opening and they caulk it.
The maintenance
and-
guy thinks, oh, this is,
And that it's going to leak there, and you want it to be open. And
right.
Yeah, I think last time we were here, we talked about the 8-foot caulking gun they used to fill everything.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, this is encouraging that it's getting done and preserved the right way.
Yep.
Again, another monumental project, along with the spandrel panels. And I really would encourage the company to be looking into those tax credits for this.
They're aware of it.
They should, this degree of work should really, I mean, it's perfect for the tax credits, and people should be rewarded for the good work, the good preservation work that they're doing. So.
I mean, the client has always been instrumental in asking us to go above and beyond and want to do this right. And it may be because what had happened the last time where they thought that was going to be the ultimate fix. But they haven't said, let's cut any corners or anything.
What is the roof right now?
The material? EPDM? Yeah. I mean, some of those roofs are a little different because some were changed, but a new roof is warranted pretty soon, which prompted all this.
Yeah, but if it's an
Yeah. That's why we talked about that counter flashing, because they know, the capstone might be once every 50 years, 100 years, we hope, but that's 5 roofs.
right.
So as an extra bonus, because you've been so good, we brought,
Not everybody says it to us.
well, you've been so good so far. From our last meeting here,
Did
we
you hear
had,
that? Nobody says it.
well, I just did, so. We have examples of the spandrel panel, the original pieces, and what we're proposing. That was a little treat that Kate didn't even know we were going to do this.
I know, well, thank you. It just feel like Christmas already. Yeah.
Christmas in October. Well, it makes sense in the stores, the Christmas decorations, the Halloween decorations are at the same time.
They should never take them down.
I think, Kate, you'll be the owner
Can we take that
of
out?
the keeper. Yeah.
Can we take that
Well,
out?
it will get
people wanna
lost in
look?
my office.
We can unwrap the president, pass that out.
Thank you. So this is the panel. Right, and the texture. The repair panel.
Fair.
And it's anemic?
It's anemic, you said? I
Anemic,
mean, that
yes.
looks pretty good.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. It's always an impression they were like a metal panel. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Welcome. Thank you so much for your time.
Looking ahead, it sounds like, yeah.
That was good. I'm
I like
also
when someone comes with the right kind of, details and.
thorough investigation. Oh, yes.
It's
I believe that is the final piece of our agenda, so
motion to adjourn?
I second, or I make a motion to adjourn?
Second?
I know
I
we
don't
don't
have a
have
quorum to, should we get Hillary back here? So we have to- She left her stuff, I think she's on the phone.
Can we close it?
No, just, hold on, I'll go get Hillary.
I'm not going to be stuck here all day. No, I understand, yeah. But it'd be interesting to know because.
It's been a long time.
No, you know what, I want to play with the little thing. Should I, do you want me to make a motion to adjourn?
I made a motion.
You want a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Meeting is,
opposition?
no.
Any abstentions? Motion passed. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is the original, this is what's in, this is the
Yeah,
original.
that's a repair from a piece of
Oh, okay.
thing that was repaired, but they're coming back with the same.
To name it, a little glossy. Wait, they brought us the little black tiles before too, right, for the interior of the lobby? The glass, the new black.